Good morning, everyone, and welcome to Getting Started with Web and Mobile. This is part of a series of Getting Started classes that we do on a weekly basis. And today we're going to dedicate the next 60 minutes to our web trading application and also our mobile app. With the TradeStation platform, the software that you install and download onto your computer, you also get two additional platforms of TradeStation. One, you can launch on a web browser, and the third one you can use on your phone. So we're going to talk about those two additional platforms that are not as robust as the TradeStation desktop, the one that runs on your computer, but there's a lot of functionality that has been added to web trading and also mobile app that allow you to take your TradeStation account wherever you go. If you're at a friend's house and you don't have access to your personal computer, you can always, just pull up a browser, log in into your account, and check your balances, check your positions, maybe edit some orders. All that we're gonna, demonstrate today, so you can know exactly how to do it. And the mobile app, everybody carries their phone with them, and it's very convenient to have that app in your pocket so that at any time, wherever you're at, if you need to check your balances, your positions, or your orders, you can just pull up your phone, log into the TradeStation mobile app, and then manage your account that way. But let's get started. Before we do so, here are some important disclosures. Keep in mind that every symbol and idea that we talk about here today is for educational purposes only. It is not a recommendation of TradeStation. Active trading is not suitable for everyone. It should only be done with the risk capital. And if you'd like to read more about these disclosures, just go to the TradeStation website, and at the bottom of the page, you're going to find links for all of these. You can also click on the link that Nico is going to be sending to everyone here in the class for additional information. Perfect. So let's get started. I'm going to switch over here to my web trading application just a moment. Okay, web trading can be launched in any browser, as I said earlier. Let me switch over to my computer. Okay, here I have Chrome. Um, According to our engineering department, Chrome is one of those browsers that works really well with the TradeStation web trading application. So if you have Chrome in your computer, that's great. If you don't, web trading works with any browser. But the way that you launch web trading is just going directly to the TradeStation's website, tradestation.com. And you're going to find right here at the top of the website, you have a login menu or login button. And when you click on it, you have the option to log into your live environment or to log into your simulated environment. I've already logged into my simulated environment, so I'm just going to switch over here to this second tab. And this is the way that my web trading looks. Yours may look a little bit different because everyone is going to tweak their web trading the way that is comfortable to them. And one of the nice things about the web trading platform is that it saves the changes on exit, so that next time that you log on to web trading, it's exactly the way you left it last time you were using it. Now, if you look at my web trading right now, it's divided in two panels. I have them side by side, but as a TradeStation user, you have full control as to how you want to organize these panels. At the very top right of the web trading platform, you have a button here called Layout Manager. I'm going to click on it, and this allows you to split your screen in as many panels as you need. I have this one right here, which is a 2-panel layout, but you can just use a 3 or 4 or 5, depending on how many different panels you can fit in your screen and how big your screen is. Right here I'm limited with space, so I'm going to work with this 2-panel layout. One of the nice things about these panels is that you can maximize them. So if you really want to drill on some of the information that's one of these panels, let me show you. Right here I have my quotes, right? The panel has a maximize button right here on the top right corner that if I click on, it just takes over the whole browser. And especially if you're doing option chains or you want to look at all the columns in your quotes window, it's very convenient to have this maximize that fills up the whole screen. You can always return to the original view by just clicking on that same maximize button, and it'll restore it down. All these panels can hold multiple tabs. You can see that right here on the right panel, I have one tab, but on the left panel, I have three tabs. I believe the maximum is 5 tabs per panel. So you can pretty much decide what is it that you want to see. If I come over here to this right panel and I click on the piece of tab that allows you to add a new one, notice that it gives me a menu with all the different applications that I can add. In the applications, I have a chart, which you can see right there in the background. I have a matrix, which we'll get to in a little moment. The option chain, very intuitive and self-explanatory. You click on it and you get an option chain. We'll take a look at it as well in a little moment. You can look at your positions, you can look at your balances, your orders, quotes, hot lists, and news. So you can see from the get-go that we have a limited selection of applications compared to when you open up the desktop. See, when you go to apps on the desktop, you get what is it, about maybe 12 or 13 different apps that you can launch within TradeStation. Here it's simple, it's simplified, but you can get a lot of things done right here on the web trading platform. Let's take you through some of these tabs and what you can do. On the quotes tab, which is already open right here on the left side of my browser, you can see that I have symbols already listed. When you first open web trading, I think it's going to give you one symbol, but you can just add multiple symbols. You have two adding boxes right here on the top. You can type in the symbol. You can do it right here at the bottom. It doesn't matter where you do it. It's going to add a new symbol to your list. So let's say, for example, that we want to see Facebook. I have Facebook already in there. Let's say that we wanted to see Cisco. I type in the symbol CSCO. You can see that there's a search engine that looks for everything that matches what I just typed in. I can hit the enter key and you can see how my symbol gets added on my screen. Now, it didn't quite go to the end of my list, and I'll explain why. It's because my quotes window is being sorted in alphabetical order from Z to A, and that's why Cisco is the second from the bottom, because that's it's sorted in that alphabetical order. All these columns in the quotes can be sorted. It's just a matter of clicking on the column header. So if I click on last, notice how they're sorted in ascending order. If I click on last again, it's sorted in descending order. That's sometimes convenient if you're looking at a particular value and you want to see, the top or the bottom symbols based on that value. You can just click on the column header. Now let me go ahead and maximize my quotes window because I want to show you some other things here. Here's a column that is a technical study. You can see how it's called moving average 2 lines. There is some limited radar screen functionality right here in the web trading platform. In fact, if you want to add more columns, you just have to go to the gear right here on the far right. And this is all the columns that you can add to your quotes tab right here in web trading. You can see that a lot of technical studies have been added, but again, is not as extensive as the list of studies that you find on the desktop version. But still, if you want to monitor an ADX, if you want to monitor MACD, it's very simple to do it here by just adding it. So let's say, for example, that I don't want to see the moving average 2 line. I just click on the X right here on the left to remove it. And let's say that I want to see a volume average indicator. Sometimes you may be monitoring intraday volume, and there's a volume average indicator that I can add. I'm just going to click on this little arrow right here in the middle, and I'm going to click on the caret right here on the right hand side to modify the parameters. You can see how the average length is 50. I can change that to 30. Let's say that I want to do a 30-day average, or 30 bar average, 30 bar average. And here's the color. The up color is cyan. Let's see that the up color, I want to make it green, down color red, and I'm just going to click OK right here at the bottom. Okay, so here it is. You can see the volume this is the volume and this is the volume average. Now, if you look at what's going on here, volume average is about 12.5 million. This is on a daily basis, and The reason why I know it's daily, because if you look over here on the left hand side, you see the interval. So it's using daily bars, but you can change it to anything you want. And I know also that it's daily because if you look at the volume column right here, it matches the volume today. But if you're looking for things that are breaking, intraday, you just have to switch here the interval. Let's say that I would want to do a 60-minute, and over here, as soon as you switch it to 60-minute, this volume study is calculating volume on an hourly basis. So in an hourly basis, the volume average is 876,000 shares per hour. Right now, the volume is 186. So this will tell you what the current volume or the current hour is compared to the average. So it's an interesting way of looking at studies. Some limitations here is that you cannot turn on alerts. You can only see values as opposed to when you're using the desktop. Remember that I did a class on Tuesday where I showed you some moving averages cross, and we looked for crossovers, and we were able to turn on an alert to find which ones are crossing. All that feature is not here in this basic radar screen functionality, but it does give you some value if you want to monitor some technical studies. Okay, I'm looking at some questions here from Abhishek. How to short sell with a stop loss. We can get to that once I show you some trading features here in web trading. Can I use chart trading on the mobile app? Yes, we can, and I'll show you how that works here in web trading. I'll show it to you in web trading, and I'll show it to you on the mobile app. Can the black background be changed to a brighter color? That's one of the nice things about web trading and mobile app, Joseph, that you can change the skin of web trading and also the mobile app to something lighter. If you come over here on the top right, there's a button that says settings, and notice that we have an option here for app settings. I'm going to go there, and let me just see, is there a, maybe not on web trading, so maybe I'm confused with the mobile app. I thought we did have a lighter setting or a lighter skin here in web trading, but I don't see it here. Okay, so maybe it's just on the mobile app, and I'll show you where that is once I switch over to the mobile app. So let's go ahead and take a look at some trading functionality. If you want to trade any of these symbols, let's say that I want to trade Bank of America or Twitter, I have all these different features at the top of my web trading. Notice that there's a trade button that I can click on. It shifts everything down. So I'm sorry about the size of my font here. Let me see if I can make this a little bit smaller. I see some overlays of information. I guess that's fine. Okay, so I have a trade bar that shows up right here at the top. There's 3 tabs to this trade bar. There's the standard order, you have an OCO drop down, and you also have the ability to send options orders. This is to build out spreads or any other type of options trade. Let's go to the OCO because I did get a question how to do a short sell with a stop loss. Let me demonstrate that here in web trading. I'm going to go here to my OCO OSO, and this will be an entry short with a stop. You see how it just tells you what the order is with exit, stop market only. So as soon as I click that, take a look at how my trade bar gets populated. So let's suppose that I want to change the symbol. Let's say that I want to trade AT&T. So I just changed the symbol to AT&T. I'm going to buy 1,000 shares. I see that, well, you can't see it right there, but you can see the price of AT&T right here is $37.38. You also see the prices over here on the right. You know, we have the bid, the last, and the asking price. Let's say that I want to buy AT&T at $37.30. I'm going to put in that price here, $37.30. But if the price drops to 37 even, let me put it right here, I want to get stopped. Okay, this is a stop market, good till cancel. And I'm just going to scroll over here to the right and then click on this green button that says send order. and the order goes through. I get a confirmation right here at the bottom left. Didn't see them. They were covered by my webcam, but those are just confirmations that pop up every time you fill an order. If you want to check your orders, just go to the Orders tab. Here, they're color coded, similar to what you see on TradeStation. Whenever you see blue, it's filled. Gray is received. That's my open and active order. Orange is you are out. And you can see the status of your orders right here. They are sorted by the time they were entered. Okay. So my 2 orders got filled. Okay. I did the order wrong. And I'm not sure if you guys noticed, but it's an incorrect order. Usually when I trade on these classes, I usually go long. And what I did is I put in an order to go short at 37.30, and I put in my stop lower. Well, the stop should have been higher because it's a short trade, and that's why my 2 orders got filled. So this is not, I thought this received order was the working order for me. So let me try that again. In fact, let me go back here to the trade bar. I'm going to go to OCO, OSO. It's a short with a stop market only. Okay, let's try it again. I'm going to put in my symbol for AT&T. All right, I'm going to sell short 1,000 shares. The current price is 37.41. Let's suppose that I want to short at 37.50. Okay, that's a better price for a short. And my stop price is going to be my stop price is going to be $38. So if it goes up to 38, it's going to get stopped. That's a stop. That's a 50-cent stop. All right, let's see if this works. Let me send the order. Okay, the order is sent. And now my 2 orders are received right here. My order to sell short at 37.50 has been received, and my stop has been queued. Okay, so just be careful when you're setting up your trades and the direction in which you're trading and the prices that you're putting into your orders, because it makes a big difference. You can see that it's very easy to make an error if you're not careful about the orders you're placing. Let's talk about chart trading. Somebody asked about how to place trades on charts. Well, let me bring in my panel here. I'm going to click on that maximize button and bring it in. The chart also gives you full functionality in trading. In fact, if you click on the background once, you can see how you get this data tips window with the information on the bar that you're on, but you also get the buy, short, and trade bar right here on this data tips window. Sometimes what I like to do is I like to switch to the symbol which I've traded. So right here on the tab, I can type in the new symbol and I can see my orders in there. The scroll bar right here on the chart is a little different than on the desktop version. If we squeeze it by grabbing the handles, we can see the details. You see? And then you can just click on the middle of the scroll bar to go shift the chart left and right. But notice that on the chart we have these labels or these flags that tell us where the orders are. We have our short at 37.50, and notice that we have our buy to cover at 38. All the orders can be adjusted right here on the chart. If you click on that short order, I just clicked on the actual flag, and you get a little X and a CR. The X is to cancel the order, and the CR is to cancel replace. But I can also click and drag this flag to any location. So if I wanted to do 37.60 instead, I'm just going to drag it up to 37.60, and that's my cancel replace. If you want to adjust your stop, let's say that I want to do 38.15, I just click and drag that flag, and you can also adjust your orders that way. Now the trade bar that you see in chart trading on the desktop is not available here. The experience in both platforms is going to be somewhat different, and it's just going to require you to get your hands on it and just practice and see if you like the experience. Okay, Ronald is asking, do you have a desktop version for Chrome? I'm using Chrome, but do not confuse the desktop version with what I'm using right now. I am using Chrome, but this is just a web trading. And web trading is just a platform that runs on the web. It doesn't have to be Chrome. You can pull up any browser. You can pull up Internet Explorer. You can put.
He's asking Chrome OS. It's a little different. It's
Huh.
like when you have a Chromebook. It's a
Oh,
whole
the.
different operating system.
Huh.
So we don't have an application.
No, I
Really,
see.
a web app is how
I
everything
see.
on Chrome works. That's
Okay,
it.
I see. So what you're asking for is the TradeStation run on a Chrome computer. Okay, now I get it. Now I don't know. I don't know. I haven't tried it. It's something that you have to test. I mean it runs on Windows. I
It'll
mean
run
it's
on Chrome within there. It'll run on on the browser within it. But there's no app specifically because you can also download apps kind of like you do for a phone for Chrome OS. There's nothing of that. You know what I mean?
okay. I haven't used. I was just getting some clarification here from Nico. I haven't used. Chrome myself, so I can't really tell you anything definitive on that. Um, I'm not sure. Yes, he was saying, Nico was just explaining to me that Chrome works as any other mobile operating system that you have to download
Yeah.
applications. So if that's the case, we don't have something that is Chrome, you know, compatible.
But they can use the web app. They
But
can use
you could use pretty much, what I'm using right now, which is the web trading platform on the browser. So that's an option. Okay. Okay, so Ricard is asking for stop loss and profit and options minus overlaid to. Are we able to add a trailing stop instead of a stop loss? Yes, we are. In fact, this stop that I submitted is a fixed stop, but doing a trailing stop is very easy. Right here on the trade bar, when you go here to the order type, notice that you have the ability to do a trailing stop based on a dollar amount, or you can do it on a percentage basis as well. Some other tabs that are here. I know that somebody wanted to do some stops and targets on options. Let's go and look at options for a moment. I'm going to hide the trade bar. Let me click on the X right here. And let's pull up an option chain. I'm going to click here on one of the tabs and go to option chain. I'm going to maximize the panel. Type in a symbol for the underline. Let's take a look at some options on AT&T. Okay, right here we have the strikes. We have calls on the left-hand side and we have puts on the right-hand side. By the way, if you want to create a spread right in here, this is something that I learned very recently. Every time that you click on any ask or bid price, it's going to send that information over to the options order bar. Now, if I click on another bid or ask, let's say that I click on this other price, it's just going to replace what's over here in the trade bar. Let me hide my camera so you can see it. In fact, let me just pull up my panel. Let me just maximize it. I'm just going to push it this way. Okay. All right. So we have, if I click on any of bid or ask price here, it's just going to replace whatever it's up there on the top on the trade bar. But let's say, for example, that I want to do a spread. What I do is I click here on the spread type, and there's one that we call custom right here on the top, right under single. You click custom, and this allows to do a simple, a custom or a multiple selection. So let's say that I want to trade a vertical between the 36 and the 40, the 36 and the 37. I just click on the two prices, and you can see that it adds them up here to the top of my TradeStation. It left the 37.5 strike, but I can just click on the X here on the left, and this is my spread to trade. Let's do a market order, for example. Okay, that order gets sent. And let me look at my positions. Let me come over here to my positions tab. I see my AT&T. And if I open up using this little caret, I can see my two legs in there. Okay. If you click on any of the legs, you can do a multiple selection to do a roll the option or trade it. So I selected my two legs, and I'm going to trade them. it puts them up here, and I can do a stop loss on that. I can just do a stop market, and I can just put in a price here for the spread that I want to be stopped at. So it's right here we have the prices. The mid is 0.96, but if I want to do, let's do a point, any price that I want to be stopped at, then that would be a way of closing an options trade using the web mobile. Okay, let's take a look at some other features. So we have our positions, which are very clearly displayed. If I go over here to my other tab, you can also look at a hot list. These are my percent gainers or dollar gainers for the day. Let's suppose that I want to do percent gainers. The top percent gainer is this symbol, RARX, which is up 100% since the close of yesterday. That's interesting. Okay, so the hot list is there. You may also bring up a news tab. Gives you multiple news articles on the symbol that you're looking at. Right now, this is all top stories, but you can filter it by saying, give me news articles that mention AT&T. There we go. And then there's no channel filter, but you can say, give me different types of stories if you want to filter your news tab also. And if I come over here again to the new or the tab menu, the rest of these tabs are pretty much straightforward, very self-explanatory. But I did want to show hot lists and news. We went over to the orders, balances, positions. We took a look at option chain in the matrix. If I put in a symbol, the matrix will provide you with market depth, and you can also put in your orders right here by clicking on the bid or the ask, very similar to what you do on the matrix. But you get the idea. You know, the web trading experience it's a simplified version of TradeStation. It's a way for you to, use your TradeStation account wherever you are. It's just a matter of bringing up a browser. Benjamin is asking, how can we add the scanner? The scanner is one of those features that is not part of the web trading experience. If you want to do a scan, you'd have to go over to the desktop version in order to do it there. As I said before, the functionality is limited, but it does allow you to take TradeStation wherever you are. It does allow you to manage orders. It does allow you to place orders. It tells you or gives you the ability to do some analysis on charting. But if you want to do, the heavy-duty scanning and the heavy-duty ranking and monitoring, then you'd have to go to the desktop version of TradeStation, which is the one you download and install. That's the button you double-click on when you're using Windows. Let's take a look at the mobile devices. I want to show you some few things that you can do there. So let me switch over here to my devices. Okay. Here they are. And when I say the hot list, Benjamin, it's not really the watch list. A watch list is something that you create yourself. You have a set of symbols and you put them up in a watch list. The hot list is pretty much populated for you based on a filter that you select. For example, when I showed it on the screen, we were looking at the percent gainers. So it gives you the 25 symbols that have gained the most since the close of yesterday. So the hot list is pretty much that, giving you symbols that you probably hadn't thought of by just looking at them, but this is giving you a very nice filter based on specific criteria. I would call a watch list more like the orders. I'm sorry, not the orders. The quotes tab, which allows you to put in your own list of symbols. Okay, Ronald's asking about the new group feature in the positions tab. Not really sure. Let me go over here again. See if I can pull it up. I know they did some enhancements on the positions tab. There's a grouped little button right here.
It's the group orders from the same symbol.
Yes. So what it's doing for you, it's pretty much giving you a header for the symbol, and it's gonna, if you're trading options on equities, for example, this is a good example. If you're trading, equities for Bank of America, and at the same time you have some options, what it's going to do is going to give you a header for Bank of America and put everything that relates to Bank of America under that header. Now, if you turn that off, it just separates everything, and you see a row for each one of the positions. So that's all that it does. Okay. Okay, let's go over here to mobile. Okay, these are my two devices. I'm running Android on the left, and I'm running iOS on the right. In order for you to access TradeStation Mobile, you just have to go to the App Store. If you're using an iOS device, you go to the App Store and you look for TradeStation Mobile, and it'll be there. If you're using an Android, you just have to go to the Play Store and search for TradeStation Mobile, and you'll find it there as well. It's a free install, and you're going to log in using your TradeStation username and password. I have them both here on the screen using some software technology so you can see them side by side. And the functionality in both environments is very simple. And I have them both here up on the screen because I know that the class is probably divided between the two environments. In fact, just as an exercise, let's see how many people here are using Android versus iOS. So can you just put in the chat Android if you're using an Android phone, or iOS if you're using an iOS phone, and just to see how many people are using either environment. And as you guys do that, I'm just going to continue on my presentation here. So when you open up the app for the first time, you get a list of symbols. It's going to be one or two symbols. I think that's the number of symbols that show up, but it's very easy to add symbols and remove symbols. I've added a few already, and that's why you see the lists of symbols on either side. But you see the buttons right here on the top for Android, and you see the buttons right here on the top for iOS, which allow you to add symbols and also edit the symbol list. It makes it very simple. All right, so we have here some information coming in. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 Android versus 1, 2, 3 Apple. 7 Android, 7 to 3. Wow, Android has got iOS beat today, so that's good. So that's why I show them both on the screen, because I don't want anybody to feel left out. But you can see how the environments are very similar. If you want to go to a detailed view on any of the symbols, I call it a detailed view because once you tap on a symbol, it takes you to a different screen. You have to tap on the symbol. Let's do it, for example, for Apple. You see on my Android, Apple is at the very end. I'm just going to tap it. And on my iPhone, Apple is right there, is the fourth from the bottom, I believe. Okay. So take a look at what happens. On my Android, when I tapped on the symbol, it took me to the matrix. And it took me to the matrix because the mobile device or the mobile app remembers what detail tab you were looking at last time when you closed out the application. So when I tapped on the symbol, it took me right back to where I was, which is an option chain. I did say the matrix, but this is not the matrix. It's an option chain. But I can switch the tab or the detail view for this symbol to anything that I want. Now the location of the tabs are going to change for Android versus iOS. Right here in Android, you see the tabs right here in a row at the top of the application. So if I go and tap on chart, starts looking a little bit more similar to my iOS. Now the tabs on my iOS are right here at the bottom, and you have the same number of tabs. The only difference is that iOS is showing them as buttons right there at the bottom, but you can tap on those buttons and cycle through summary. Let's take a look at summary on both environments. So that's summary on Android, summary on iOS. It gives you a brief description of what's happening to that symbol intraday. Also, some information such as their 52-week high, 52-week low, and some other interesting information. If you go over to the news button or the news tab, it's going to give you news articles, top news on Apple. Okay? I'm going to go over to the chart. Chart is pretty much straightforward. The only difference between these two environments is that in Android, I have a Bollinger Band and I have a moving average already as part of the chart. I don't have that on my iOS, but let me show you where you can find that. By the way, in Android, you have an additional button here which looks like a science beaker. That is your studies button. So if you want to add studies or modify the list of studies, you'll just tap on that science beaker and it gives you a list of all the studies. I'm going to try to simulate what I have on Android in my iOS, so I'm going to add the same studies. In iOS, the studies are going to be part of this gear. So we tap on the gear and we say add studies. I'm going to say Bollinger Bands, and the Bollinger Bands gets added. And let's look for volume average. I'm going to tap on the gear one more time. Add study. I'm going to use my finger to cycle or scroll through the studies. Notice how this list of studies, the top studies are studies that usually go on top of the bars. And if you see there's a gray title that says lower studies. They go at the bottom of the chart, like in a subgraph. So I'm going to look at volume average right here, and it pulls up right here on the screen. So now they're similar. You can make modifications to those studies. Notice that in my iOS, there's a bubble with the name of the study. You can tap there if you want to make changes to the study. The same in Android. Just tap on the name of the study, and it takes you to the formatting if you want to change the style, if you want to change the color, and so forth. One more thing that I showed you in our web trading platform is that you can tap on the background of a chart and get a data tips. We have that same feature here. You can tap on the background of iOS or tap on the background of my Android, and notice that you have the data tips, and you also have a green button that says trade at a price that you tapped on. Now, I'm not such a fan of tapping on the chart to get a precise price because of the difficulty of actually tapping on the price that you actually want. You know, sometimes chart trading is great for adjusting your orders, but to place a trade is really hard to be a little precise. Let's say I have a, this is Apple on the screen. I've been saying AT&T for some reason. I'm not sure why. But you can see that on my iOS, which is right here on the right, my buy order trade at 181.06. Now I can use my finger and slide it up and down, but on a symbol that is priced at a value that is so high, like Apple, it's trading in the 200. It's really hard to be precise on the actual price that we want. That's okay, because if you tap on the green button that says trade, it'll just take you to an order ticket where you can modify the price of the order. The same happens here in Android. If I tap on that green button that says trade at 206, it just takes me to the order ticket. Here, notice that I can type in and change the price if I want to. Okay, so all that can be done here. Let me go ahead and cancel this. To cancel, and iOS gives you a cancel button right here on the top. Android, you just have to tap on the back button right here on the top. Okay, and we're back on the chart. So use the tabs in Android to cycle through the different views. In iOS, just tap on the tabs. These are all detailed view of the symbol that you tapped on when we were in the list of symbols. So if you go here to the matrix, this is the matrix for Apple. We can see market depth. And if we tap on options on both environments, we see the option chain in iOS, and we also see the option chain right here in Android. Android chooses a lighter background. Android hasn't loaded yet. It should be loading in a moment. Okay, maybe not. Let me refresh it to see. Okay, let me go back to options. There we go. Fills in. There we go. Excellent. Let me take a look at some other questions here. Can I place an OCO bracket order when trading options? Ricardo, yes, you can, but only if you're trading single legs. That's very important to remember, because if you want to do an OCO bracket order on a spread, that is something that TradeStation doesn't support at this time. But if you want to do a bracket on a single option, that's very doable. You can do it, yes. Let's see. A question from It's Me. To change the background color, click on Settings, then App Settings. Okay, he's just showing us how to do it. Was this in the web trading? Maybe. Let me just see. Maybe I just missed it when I was there. Because I went to Settings, I went to App Settings. The appearance. Thank you so much, Mervin. I'm not sure why I missed it, because I did go in here and I didn't see the appearance tab. So it's, again, Settings, App Settings, because I did see this. Then you click on Appearance, and you have a light theme if you want to switch to a light theme. A lot of people prefer to have a lighter background. So there it is. Thank you so much for looking into that. And in the mobile apps, you also have that option. You just have to go to the main menu. Right here in iOS, we have that hamburger menu on the top left. Gives you the main menu for the application. On Android, I have to tap on back to get that hamburger menu, but it's the exact same menu. Here we can go to quotes, which is the list of symbols that gives you prices. You can go to hot lists. You can go and check your orders. You can check your positions, your balances, and alerts. But if you wanted to switch the app to a lighter theme, just go to App Settings right there in the menu. And right here at the very bottom, you have the ability to select a light theme if you want to. Okay, the same for iOS. We go to Settings. And right here we have the ability to set it to light for both the chart and all the settings. Okay. So I do recommend that you guys, just play around with the mobile app. There's a lot of features in here that will allow you to, cycle through all these different things. By the way, what I'm doing is using the pinch and zoom that you usually use on pictures to zoom in or blow up. You do the same thing on charting. You use your fingers, the pinch and zoom gesture, just to increase the spacing in between the candles. And you can also use your fingers, to move the chart left and right, which is very convenient. Can we add an activation using the underline to trigger the order? This is a question from the chat. Yes, we can, but not in the mobile apps. So we have activation rules that you can set up, but you can set them up on the desktop version of TradeStation. None of these applications will provide you a way to set an activation rule. Right here, iOS has a trade button on the top right. And, Android and iOS has the same button. It gives you, or it takes you to an order ticket, and you can see that there's no activation checkbox like the one we see on the desktop version. So if you want to do an order that is based on the price movements of the underline, then you'd have to do that on the desktop. You cannot do that here on our mobile apps. In the mobile app order ticket, you also have the ability to do an OCO OSO. iOS shows you the button up there, so if I tap it, it's going to give me a menu as to what type of OCO I want to send. In the Android, it's a little bit more hidden. You do have to click where it says Standard Trade in order to select your OCO and OSO. But once you select, like for example, an OSO with bracket, it's very intuitive because it gives you color-coded boxes that pretty much allow you to identify which is the primary and which is the OCO. The OCO is the one that is connected right here with that line on the left-hand side. These are orders that are linked so that if one side gets filled, the other side gets canceled. All right, let's go ahead and cancel out of this. All right, so let's put in a trade for Apple. I want to Apple is trading right now at $230. Let's suppose that we want to trade Apple at 225. We want to trade it at 225. So if it comes down to 225, we want to buy it. And if it goes up to 230, we want to sell it. That's our target. If it comes down to 220, 220, we'll set that as our stop. Let's put a little bit higher. Let's do 222. So if it drops 3 points or $3, that's our stop. But if it gains $5, that's our profit target. How do we put in that trade right here in the mobile app? I'm going to tap on trade, both environments. Again, I need an OSO with an OCO. So I'm going to tap on standard trade for my Android, and I'm going to do an OSO with a bracket. I'm going to do the same thing here on iOS, but just tap on OCO OSO, and we're going to do an OSO with bracket. And this is the way that I would do it on Android. I take my phone, I tap on that pink box right there at the top on the pencil, and I did say that my limit price was going to be 225. This is the 100 shares. That's fine. I'm going to leave it the way it is. I am going to change the duration to GTC. Okay, so that if it doesn't get filled right now, it just stays there. Then I'm going to go and tap on done right there at the top because I'm done with that first order. Okay, and you can see right there inside the pink box that I have a limit price of 225. Now let's go ahead and tap on the second box, which is a cyan or the first blue. Tap on the pencil, and I did say that if it goes up to 230, I'm going to change that to GTC2. If it goes up to 230, that's 5 points for my entry. I'm also going to sell. This is a sell limit because is a higher price. So I'm going to tap on done. And now the last order is my stop. It's going to be, I said, at 222. My entry is at 225. If it drops 3 points, that is 222. The duration is a GTC. It's a sell order, but it's a stop sell order. So I'm done. So now that I've modified the 3 orders, I just have to tap on send orders right there at the bottom. I'm going to send the orders. This is my confirmation. I'm going to tap on send. I get my order status window. I say OK. And when I go to the chart, it's interesting that if it's very tight, you'll get these flags right there on the chart showing you that there's 1 order or 2 orders. So I'm going to open up the chart a little bit to see if I have more detail. Okay. So there is an order up there. Let me see if I go to the intraday chart. I haven't shown you how to change the interval. This is a daily chart. Now you can see the actual intervals right there at the bottom. You see day, or D for day, W for week, and you have all the minute intervals. There's a little clock right there towards the right hand side that allows you to modify all the different intervals that you're using. But let me go to an intraday to see if I have more details on those orders. I'm going to go to a 30-minute chart. Okay. There we go. So this is what's happening. Since Apple is trading at a high price, you can see that by default it doesn't show you the top order. I see a gray box that says 1 order is up there. I can see the order for my entry at 225. I can see my stop at 222, but I don't see my target at 230. But if you tap on the gray, if I tap on the gray, it actually shows you. Let me tap it again. Let me just do it again. There we go. If I tap it, you see the limit at 230. So it does give you a preview of what's up there if you just tap it. All these orders that are sitting right here on the chart can be adjusted by just tapping and dragging. If I want to do my stop is at 222. If I want to bring it down to 220, I just tap let me. I should be able to just to tap and bring it down. Let me see. There we go. So I can tap and bring to 220. And sometimes it's a little hard, to be precise when you're tapping and dragging and selecting the price you want. That's why when you drag it, it brings up the order ticket and you can be a little bit more precise as to the price that you want. And I'm going to tap on that green button that says replace order. I'll send it and then click OK. And now you can see that my stop is at 220. Let's go ahead and see if there's any other questions here in the chat. All right. Mervin is asking, is TS Go the same as mobile app? I just joined TradeStation in August 2019. I use Windows desktop and downloaded iOS on my mobile device. TS Go, it's a brand new pricing plan that is available in TradeStation. And what it does is that it lowers your commissions to practically zero. It's a no commission plan. However, there are some restrictions or some things that a lot of people may not be aware of, is that when you join the TS Go pricing plan, you lose access to the desktop version of TradeStation. So the TS Go pricing plan is exclusive to web mobile or web trading and your mobile apps. So you'd have to trade on TradeStation just using those two platforms, web trading and our mobile apps, which are the two platforms that we've demonstrated today. But if you really want to use the TradeStation desktop, the one that where you have all the bells and whistles and all the functionality, and you have all the power of scanning and strategy trading and backtesting, then that is not included in this TS Go plan. So for those that are interested in lowering your commissions, talk to your account representative. TS Go may be a pricing plan or the type of account that you would be interested in. But an account representative would be able to give you additional information of what that entails. Okay, so hopefully that clarifies what TS Go is. Can I use chart trading on the mobile app? Yes, you can. It's going to be a little bit different than what you call chart trading on the desktop. When you pull up chart trading on the desktop, you get all these different features. You get a trade bar on the right-hand side. It's very different than what you get here in the mobile app. On the mobile app, let me grab my phone here. Let me cancel out of this. So on the chart, let's say that I change the symbol here. By the way, if you want to change the symbol without leaving the chart, look over here at the top. You can see the symbol and there's a little drop down. The same happens on the Android. If I tap on that symbol, I get access to my watch list, to the list of symbols that I have in my quotes tab. So let's say, for example, that I want to see Bank of America. Bank of America, I have orders on. So let me choose something different. Let me go to Intel Corporation. So this is Intel. Let me remove the Bollinger Band because that's kind of squeezing my candles and it doesn't let me see a lot. So I'm going to tap on the Bollinger Band name and I'm just going to tap on delete right there at the bottom. Okay, now I have my candles are a little bit bigger. Chart trading, the way that it works on the mobile, very different than what you see on the desktop. And the way that you trade from a chart is just tapping on the background. That's pretty much chart trading in mobile device. Very simple. You tap on the background and you get this data tips and it gives you a trade button. I can tap it and it gives me, or it takes me to the order ticket. Here I can decide if I want to do a standard order or if I want to do an OCO or an OSO. It's all done here from the order ticket. So all that trade bar with the check boxes and that's not available here, but you do have the ability to trade from a chart by just tapping on the background. So hopefully that helps. Manik is asking, can you elaborate on that commission plan details? Well, the commission plan details, it's all in the website. What I can tell you is that it's free commissions. You're still paying 50 cents per contract, but you're not paying the ticket charge. every options trade, I think it had an order ticket charge of $5. That is being dropped, and you only pay 50 cents commissions per contract. Now, for equities, when you trade equities, I think that's totally free. But then, again, I have to emphasize that this is only on our two mobile platforms. That's why it's called TS Go, because you can only trade on web trading and our mobile app. So let's get that clear, okay? And again, I recommend that you talk to your account representative if you want to learn a little bit more about this. But commissions are pretty much zero when you trade in that plan.
I linked the page.
The page is right there, so you can click there. Nico submitted there in the chat. Just click on the link. It'll take you to the page. It has all the details about the pricing plan. How to open a credit loophole trade and open a green loophole trade. That's interesting because that's the first time that I hear about a loophole trade. I'm not really sure. If you give me details, HRH, I can probably explain what to do, but I'm not really familiar with what a loophole trade is. So give me a little bit more information. And Mervin, you're welcome. We're all trying to provide you with different pricing plans and make sure that we stay competitive with other brokers that are out there in the market. All right, guys. I think this is the end of our class. We have a couple more minutes, so I'm just gonna stay here for a while to see if I can take more questions. It was great doing this class. You know that we have Ask the TradeStation experts coming in 30 minutes. So if you have any questions about the TradeStation desktop that I didn't clarify when I did my getting started on Tuesday, or maybe a question on OptionStation Pro on the class yesterday, join me at 12 p.m. today. That's the time of the class, 12 p.m. Eastern time. Right after this class, it's going to start in about 30 minutes, and I'll be taking your questions. Doesn't matter what the question's about. You are the ones that drive the content of that class, and it's a very interactive class because it's all driven by your questions submitted in the chat. Okay. Can we trade an IRA account in TSGO? I'm pretty sure you can. I can't really say that as a definite, and that's why I always recommend that you get hold of an account representative. If you cannot remember who helped you open up your TradeStation account, just call the client services department and they'll tell you who that person is. And the account representatives have all the information and what the limitations are, what the restrictions are. So that would be my recommendation if you want to make sure that you can trade using an IRA account. Is it on the same channel? I believe he's asking about the class. Yes, it is. So if you stay on the same link, right, Nico? Yeah, it should start automatically.
Well, I don't know what link they're on, but yes.
Okay. So if
I also put one in the chat.
If the class doesn't start automatically, just go to the TradeStation YouTube channel and you can click on the actual box there to access the class. And that's the link for Ask the Experts. Thank you, Nico. Benjamin is asking, when is TradeStation start not charging commissions since most of the brokers? Well, Benjamin, if you were listening, we were talking about TSGO. That is precisely the pricing plan that is not charging any commission. So take a look at that and see if that matches what you're looking for. Daniel is asking, on the web platform, where do you choose sim versus live? That's a good question, Daniel. In fact, if I switch over here to my computer, when you go to the website, TradeStation.com, and you click on login, that's where you choose if you want live or if you want simulated.
You could also change within the web.
Also, if you have the web application, you can switch it right here. Just click over here on the top right corner, and you can click on sim if you want to switch over to a different environment. Okay. Okay, I guess he found it. So I just showed it just in case somebody found the question interesting. That's the way you switch from simulated to live. Okay, so thank you everyone for your participation. I want to say that it was a pleasure spending these 60 minutes with everyone here. And I hope to see you in our next class, Ask the TradeStation Experts, or any other class in the future. Goodbye, everyone. Have a great afternoon.